And welcome back, everyone, to What If, the week of What If. And today's What If comes to us from Dream On Killer 18, who asked the question, what if anime King Ghidorah was in Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball storyline? Now, to understand how this could impact the storyline, we have to understand how this version of Ghidorah works. So this version of Ghidorah, first off, is basically a being that is summoned. He's not sent anywhere. He's not a physical being, technically. He is a being that exists outside our normal laws of reality. He exists actually like in the space in between dimensions. He's still the world devourer, though. He just drains energy. Just his existence in the Godzilla world warped space and time around him. He is tethered to a special item that whoever summoned him holds. And therefore, as long as that item exists, he is intangible. He cannot be affected by the general laws of physics of our world. It wasn't until that item was destroyed, where he was now bound by the laws of our world, that Godzilla was able to beat him and push him back. He is so large that we only ever actually see his heads coming out of wormholes. Literally, I can't express enough how big this version of Ghidorah actually is. So the question really does become, what happens if anime Ghidorah were somehow brought into the Dragon Ball universe? If he were, say, summoned by someone in the Dragon Ball universe, kind of like Hirudegan, the giant kaiju from movie 13, Wrath of the Dragon. So we can honestly, the best way to look at this is looking at this from each saga or in Dragon Ball, roughly. Because the farther we go into the Dragon Ball history and lore and the stronger our characters get, the more the outcome goes in their favor. But let's just get it out of the way right now. If anime Ghidorah were to show up in Dragon Ball, just Dragon Ball, before Raditz shows up at any point, the entire series is over. That's just it. There is no being on the planet that has the capability of stopping this thing. The only way to stop, even if they were able to find the person who summoned him, which in this case would probably be a Pilaf or maybe a Red Ribbon Army individual. Maybe. But even if they were able to find the individual with the item, I can't remember what the item was. It was like an eye or something like that. But with the item, destroy the item, and get Ghidorah to be bound by the laws of our world and universe. There's still no one on the planet who has the ability to stop this thing. This thing is still a legitimate world ender. A minimum of world ender. This thing probably is actually a solar system ender. And there's no one in Dragon Ball, say Goku or Roshi at their strongest, who even comes close to that level of planetary destruction. And even then, he still absorbs energy. So if they fire a Kamehameha right at his mouth, he's just going to eat it up mostly. So if he shows up during the Dragon Ball years, Dragon Ball's over. Dragon Ball Z doesn't happen. If he shows up beyond that, Raditz Saga still is an issue. Not a big... Raditz is dead and Ghidorah comes in and just wrecks shop. If he were to say show up during the attack of Frieza and Nappa, that is at least a little bit different, because now we're starting to get into levels of power where they are, in fact, planetary in power. Now you're talking about relative equal power. But the issue still stands. You have to find the individual who has summoned Ghidorah, destroy the eye, and make him basically bound by our laws and, rules and regulations of the universe. And you first have to figure out who's doing it, and that would take forever. Meanwhile, Ghidorah's wreaking havoc, tanking all of their attacks. Goku tries to summon a spirit bomb. He's just going to eat the spirit bomb, because it's just energy. So, honestly, no joke, you would not see any real change until maybe the Cell Saga. Because if Ghidorah shows up during the Cell Saga, hell, Cell realizes I can't hit this thing, but maybe I'll just blow up the planet and F off. If Cell can get away with doing that, he will destroy whoever it is who summoned Ghidorah, and then thereby bind Ghidorah to the laws of physics. And Cell is powerful and smart enough to sense that, and then maybe he'd be able to take on Ghidorah then. The question is, at that point, is he still strong enough to kill Ghidorah? Because that Ghidorah is still insanely powerful. Honestly, and I mean this in all sincerity, it isn't until we get to, say, Super that that things could change. The Boo saga would be interesting because Ghidorah, I could see Ghidorah being, say, a backup for Babidi if he was unable to summon Majin Buu. Maybe he's the one who has the. Give me one sec. I keep saying item. Pretty sure it was like a fake eye or something like that. King Ghidorah anime Ghidorah. Hold on one second. Let's see here now. King Ghidorah and the anime trilogy. Let's see here. Energy that focuses on a golden-headed dragon inhabits the void between dimensions. Ghidorah used super gravity, consumed countless worlds throughout the millennia. 100,000 years ago, Ghidorah destroyed the planet Exif, while the surviving members of the native Exif race took to the stars to find new worlds to appease their god. With each new world, Exif converted to faith, Ghidorah was fed a new planet, and so forth and so on. Let's see here. Captain Stargate managed to sever Memphis' link to Ghidorah. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, okay. Weaknesses. Okay, here we go. Weaknesses. While in this dimension, he is guided by an individual. In this case, the name was Metaphys, and has replaced his own eye with a garbantrium bead, which allows Ghidorah to see. And when the bead was destroyed, he became subject to the laws of the dimension and loses the abilities to see through that guy's eye. This caused him to release Godzilla Earth and became able to physically strike Ghidorah with his attacks. And in this state, Ghidorah was no match for Godzilla and easily dispatched back to his home dimension once his physical manifestation is destroyed. So he's kind of immortal, actually. Yeah. I mean, like I said, super gravity, which basically kind of warps space and time to some degree. But it demonstrates the ability to control gravity when he attacks. Space-time distortion, intangibility, biting, and electrical properties and draining energy. Gematron calculations, capable to communicate with Exif clergy through a technology called something or other. Anyway, point being is that I could still see Babidi maybe using this if the whole Boo thing didn't work out. But the thing is, Boo did work out. Ghidorah normally just hangs out in his own dimension while he's not in use. It's not like he's just hanging around the universe the whole time. But because he's basically a Galactus, constantly eating worlds. Once we get to Super, I think a big thing that kind of ends the run of Ghidorah is Beerus. Because if he's constantly going around eating worlds, well, he's destroying lives, worlds, and throwing things off balance. That's Beerus' job. He's the one who's supposed to be doing that. And Beerus probably wouldn't take too kindly for it. And granted, he allowed Frieza to do it because he was lazy, and that might be the one catch. But the fact is, this just mindless, well, actually, Ghidorah's very intelligent, but this, in his case, mindless creature is just doing all this. So eventually, when he shows back up while Beerus is awake, Beerus just randomly shows up. And as strong as Ghidorah is, he's not a universal level. I mean, he can distort space and time to some degree, but he's very, like, him unleashing power does not threaten the universe. Beerus, we know, just by clashing with Goku, threatened the existence of the universe. Beerus also can do something that no other individual in the Dragon Ball canon can do, apart from other gods of destruction, and use Hakai. And Hakai can affect any individual, be they immortal, as we did see in the manga, be they just mortal, be they god, or be they spirit or intangible. And that is key for this. When Hakai doesn't just destroy, it erases your entire existence from the timeline. So it's really at that point that Ghidorah would be destroyed. But if Ghidorah is showing up at any point before Super, the Dragon Ball world would be in a lot of trouble. Not because he's technically more powerful than any of the Z fighters after a certain amount of period. I'd really argue that Goku, Majin Buu, Vegeta, Gohan, or especially when you get to even Cell, are arguably stronger than Ghidorah. It's the fact that Ghidorah is still a world-level threat, minimum, and he can't be touched by physical means in our world. That's what makes him such a dangerous threat. If it wasn't for the fact that he had that damn intangibility, well then he would just be another monster. who, powerful as he may be, could easily be stopped. Unfortunately, that intangibility makes him really difficult to deal with. But once you get the super, Beerus replied, you'd be like, all right, this is adorable, but time to go back to your little playpen, dragon. And the dragon, he just roars, like, tries to just attack Beerus, like, I see, you don't wish to go willingly? Then I'll just have to make you go. And there's just, Hakai! And yeah, that'd be the end of Ghidorah. But it'd be a short end of the series if at any point he comes to Earth before Super. Now, granted, there is a catch-22 here as well, where if he shows up, do either of the dragons, Purunga or Beerus, hell, or that other one from what was it, Granola, or from the Granola arc? I can't remember that one. Because that one apparently was able to grant you the power to be the strongest in the universe. So that's a pretty hacks dragon. But I don't know if either Purunga or Shenron are strong enough to contend or do anything to kind of stop this guy, because their powers are directly tied to their creators. And while both Shenron and Purunga got upgrades as they went along, because Mori was younger than Guru and therefore had more vitality, plus he had all Guru's knowledge and experience passed to him. I'm pretty sure anyway. He was given the role as Elder for the Dragon Balls at any rate. And then Dende is more useful, and we know he could upgrade the Dragon Balls. We saw him do it. And Kami, no. Kami, I think, Kami Shenron would not have the ability, I think, to deal with Ghidorah. Because Ghidorah is, if we're talking about like a power level, Ghidorah is definitely in the millions, probably. And that's just something well out of the range of capability of that Shenron. Dende Shenron, especially older Dende Shenron, and upgraded a couple times, that's not out of the realm of possibility. Purunga also maybe, but that's the real question mark, isn't it? You think the Dragon Balls could affect Ghidorah on any grand scale? The Super Dragon Balls 100%. They can do legitimately anything. I'm still interested, by the way, as a viewer and as a fan of the lore of many of these animes, to know if we're ever going to meet the creator of the Super Dragon Balls. What was it? Zarama or Zalama? Super Dragon Balls. Hold on. What was the guy's name? It began with a Z. Super Dragon Balls. Not Super Dragon. Well, Super Dragon Balls. Okay, Super Dragon Balls. So let's see. They were Zalama. Yeah, it was Zalama. Okay, the inventor was Zalama. He was and all we know about Zalama is that he is created by the dragon god Zalama, and the first known set of Dragon Balls to be created. Period. If they needed to, they would just wish him away. Let's see. Not much is known about him. He shaped the balls to be the size of planets, about 37,196 kilometers in circumference. 1 year later, he patented technology to make the star marks on Super Dragon Balls look the same on every angle. He created the phrase to summon the divine dragon. Come forth, dragon of the gods, and grant my wish, pretty peas, or peas and carrots. And he also programmed the Super Dragon Balls to scatter through the universe 6 and 7 after a wish is made. The full extent of Zalama's power is unlimited, as he was able to create the Super Dragon Balls and their divine dragon, Super Shenron, with no limitations to the wish that can be granted, though the dragon is only allowed to grant one wish per summoning. In theory, you should be able to wish for infinite wishes. Isn't that right? I mean, if there's no limit, how does no one figure that shit out? But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I want us eventually to meet this guy, because A, we know that the Dragon Balls will fade out of existence if their creator dies. So this guy's still around somewhere. And B, this guy might be stronger than Zeno, because literally these Dragon Balls can grant any wish. When you have the power to literally do anything, or have unlimited power, he is, by all accounts, probably stronger than Zeno. So, I mean, there's a reason Zeno has bodyguards, and I don't think it's to protect others from him. I think it's because Zeno's not a fighter, because we've seen how non-fighters, even with power, or even fighters who haven't been training properly, can be hurt by just small, attacks, like Goku in the Resurrection F arc. Anyway, I went on a tangent there, but I would love to meet Zalama, the Dragon God, at some point. That would be I think that'd be really cool. And I think it'd be very pivotal for the story when you see a guy that even Zeno is like, oh yeah, I can't beat that guy. He's way too strong. And everyone goes, huh? I mean, they say the Grand Priest is one of the top 5 battle powers or power levels fighters in all the universes, but who are the other 4? Is Zeno one of them? Is Zalama one of them? I actually might be thinking Zalama's like the number 1 top dog, and he just is cool doing his own thing. He's probably a generally peaceful guy. Anyway, I digress. I went on a tangent. Yeah, so that's what if Anime Ghidorah were in Dragon Ball, because to do that, you just have to really look at each era of Dragon Ball and to see, okay, can they do anything about him can they do anything about him in that era? And the answer for most of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z is no, they cannot. And it's all because of that damn intangibility. Unless they can find the guy who summoned him, he's just going to keep running rampant until whatever planet they're on is consumed. But I digress. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you folks for the next one.